What?
I know, it's very.
Yeah, but I didn't want him to make it public. I didn't want to challenge the situation. I got the vote. I don't care what you do. Called him 3 times.
Oh, Louis?
Hope we have to stay Thursday night again?
It's Thursday, yeah. 41.
42.
I don't know if Scott RSVP'd, so it might be 43. But he'll be late because he does nothing but school board anymore.
They're on.
Testing.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Rye Town Council meeting of July 20th, 2021. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. I'd like to note the passing last week of former Portchester Mayor Dennis Pilla. Please remain standing in a moment of silence and tribute. Thank you.
This is our first town council meeting in person since the coming of COVID, as we say. It's a pleasure to see everybody, although I do miss the ability to dress in my pajamas during a meeting. And I would like to note that this is the first time in, I guess it's almost a year and a half, or it is a year and a half, that we have said the Pledge of Allegiance in unison. And we did a very good job tonight, and I must say, we were really poor during the Zoom period. So thank you. Hope, please call the roll.
Councilperson Jill Axelrod.
Here.
Councilperson Pamela Jaffe.
Present.
Councilperson Lindsay Jackson.
Here.
Councilperson Thomas Nardi.
And Supervisor Gary Zuckerman.
Here. Our first item on the agenda is a resolution settling a tax certiorari case. Kunaveer Properties at 12 Fawcett Street in Portchester. Jeff, why are we settling this case?
So that is a very small property. It's like a one or two family home. And the town was given an appraisal. And to correspond with the appraisal, we've made some adjustments there.
Is that it?
That's it.
The
It's a very
assessor,
minor- It's a very minor.
okay,
tax.
the assessor is in agreement, Madam Assessor? Says that with hesitation. Okay, thank you. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Please call the roll, Hope.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. The next item is adopting a negative declaration in connection with Crawford Park improvements. I had previously, actually Beth Evans, our consultant, prepared the environmental assessment form for us. And I had circulated parts 2 and 3 to the full council previously. And the conclusion is that the proposed action will not have any significant adverse impacts on the environment. No environmental impact statement needs to be prepared, and the secret process is complete. Also part of this resolution is that the town board has declared itself as lead agency. So the items that are covered are the trail that is scheduled to be rehabilitated, the ball fields that are scheduled to be rehabilitated, and a new bocce court, which we hope will be built. But this environmental assessment form covers all of them. And are there any questions? If not,
We haven't gone through the funding of these projects yet. We're waiting on bonding, et cetera.
no. Actually,
The trail
The-
is, right, the trail is covered.
the trail is subject to a $125,000 SAM grant procured by Steve Otis. The fields are subject to a $200,000 SAM grant procured by Senator Shelley Mayer. And the bocce court is in a different category. We have an actual bid opening on that, and but we're waiting for funding. We're hoping to get voluntary funding for that, but we have also applied for the bocce court for a CDBG grant and for a CFA grant. So we may get funding on that. one of the reasons we're doing the environmental impact statement now is A, it's a good thing to do early, and B, in order to finalize our SAM grants, the dormitory authority has asked that we complete it. So that's why we're doing it.
And we don't have any matching obligations under the SAN grants? or-
No,
Okay.
but if the SAM grant doesn't cover the cost, then,
We will pay.
well, not if we get a CDBG and/or a CFA grant. So that's where we go out for the grants. May I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Hope, please call the roll.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. And I just want to say that while we were doing that, my Siri came on and has recorded all of the things that we were talking about. What are you doing, Siri? The next item is,
Yeah, we haven't adopted the minutes.
did I skip that?
Yeah.
We got ahead of our skis.
Boy, I really jumped down. Hope, thank you for reminding us, because I know that you whispered in Debbie's ear. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes of June 8th and June 15th, the June 8th special meeting and the June 15th regular meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Look how orderly we are.
I do that occasionally. I think every other meeting I skip something.
Okay.
We now have a resolution to engage a caretaker for the town of Rye and authorizing a contract that allows for the caretaker to reside at the cottage at Crawford Park. Debbie, do you want to speak to this and possibly introduce the young man?
Yes, I'd love to. I think I'll go up. So as many of you are aware, the town lost our beloved caretaker a number of months ago. George Hogbin passed away. And a committee of council people have, and Vic Federico, our Director of Grounds and Facilities, and myself have undertaken a search. We interviewed a number of candidates, and we had 3 really strong finalists. It was a very difficult decision, but it was unanimous that Mr. Charlie DeLeon, who is here with us today, was by far and away the most qualified candidate and will be the best for the town of Rye. And we're very excited that he has agreed to join us. So, Charlie?
Hi, nice to meet everyone. Mrs. President, I'm Charlie DeLeon. A little bit about me. I grew up in America.
Speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Charlie DeLeon. Thank you for allowing me to take the position of the caretaker. A little bit about me. I grew up in Mamaroneck. Graduated of 04. Right after high school, I enlisted in the Marine Corps, where I spent almost about a decade serving. And after I got out, after 10 years, I tried a few other jobs around Mamaroneck, Westchester County, and I was fortunate enough to fall into position as a caretaker for the Crawford Mansion, thanks to everyone over here who voted for me. So, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, and welcome. We
Thanks.
know you're going to do a good job because we know that Vic is your supervisor,
He'll make sure you do a good job.
and we're not going to have to worry. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you every night.
Well, maybe we put the cart before the horse, but let's do the resolution. Engaging a caretaker, whom we just met. May I have a motion and a second, please?
I am honored to make the motion.
And I will second.
Thank you. Please call the roll, Hope.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe, Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. And welcome aboard, Charlie. Next resolution is engaging top-of-the-line security for the town court. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this, Debbie? You were involved in the search.
Yes, this is actually a fairly simple decision. When the Town of Rye Justice Court expanded in May, it was a requirement that we have a team of people to maintain order and security for the Justice Court. It was a very fast turnaround, and Mark Hines and top-of-the-line security came to us very highly recommended, having done the exact work that we needed done for the county, district attorney at the county center. And they stepped in and on very short notice and have just hit the ball out of the park. They are, on analysis, essentially the same cost as doing the work in-house. And the judges are delighted, Portchester is delighted, they're doing a terrific job. So it's my recommendation that that we engage them through the end of the budget year, and then we'll decide how to go forward for fiscal year 2022.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just have a couple of quick questions. They've already been working in the court, correct?
That is correct.
And they began when, I'm assuming when the court turned over in May?
They actually started June 1st because there was no court in May.
Okay. And we selected them based on, did we do an RFP or?
No, we didn't do an RFP. We were planning to hire in-house and transfer of function all of the court officers from the village of Portchester. And on very short notice, they all declined the positions. So we didn't have time for an RFP. We
So
had to
this
get
is on
something in
an
place.
emergency basis,
Yes,
technically?
indeed.
And how does the rate compare to what we have budgeted for this year?
After, it's actually flat,
Oh.
roughly flat.
Okay,
Um,
because it's the same
I-
cost.
Within a margin, of error, yes.
And then I guess I would have one more comment. On the 5th page of the contract, item 3, bill rate escalations, it says the bill rate for all positions described in Exhibit A shall remain effective through 2019.
I picked that up as well.
Okay.
And in the electronic version, it's corrected.
Okay, great. And that would be effective through 2021.
Correct.
All right.
Just to point out, Lindsay, the resolution says commencing June 1st, so this is retroactive to June 1st when they started. Okay?
I just want to give Debbie kudos. There were so many things that I pick up and run with this court transfer. And this was just one of the many, and I know.
Thank you very much. Well, it was certainly a group effort, and I would also point out that I found Mark Hines through a recommendation from Vic Federico.
Of course.
So we have a lot to thank him for.
This is how we hire all of our staff.
I wasn't going to mention that. I was going to let that slide. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second.
Please call the roll, Hope.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson, and
Yes.
Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. The next one are two resolutions authorizing submissions of funding applications through the CFA process. I'm going to do the second one first. A resolution authorizing a submission to New York State for the CFA, and the reason will become apparent. This authorizes us to submit the applications which are due on July 30th. We're submitting to the Environmental Facilities Corporation for the Green Innovation Grant Program for the parking lot at Rytown Park. The Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation for the exterior of the bathhouse at Rytown Park. Also to Parks for the exercise equipment at Crawford Park, for the bocce court at Crawford Park, for the tunnel bathrooms at Rytown Park, and for the mats, the handicap accessible mats at Rytown Park. And the reason that the town of Rye is covering Rytown Park, we also had a resolution for the Rytown Park Commission, but because we fund 60% of the capital improvements that are not covered by the grant, we're submitting a resolution on behalf of both the town. We're authorizing a resolution, both the town and the park projects. So, and also through Climate Smart Communities, the flooding at Avon Circle, which we're doing in conjunction with the village of Rybrook and the Portchester School District. So all of that is covered with this resolution. So, any questions?
No, I would just like to point out, as far as this CFA application for the Blindbrook flood mitigation, I know that our former colleague,
Bill Villanova? Is that who
Billy
you're talking about?
Villanova,
Billy?
yes, has been a tireless advocate for this project, and I just wanted to acknowledge his dedication, commitment, and part of the reason we're here at this point is because of all the work that Billy put forth.
Thank you. That is absolutely correct. And we applied for this once before, I believe, but not through Climate Smart Communities grant program, through a different one. And this is also partially funded by the Westchester County Stormwater Fund. And we're going to need all the funding because the price tag for the whole thing is about $6 million. So, and the way it works is, hopefully, we're going to get $2 million from the county, $2 million from the state, and the other $2 million will be split 50% Rybrook and 25% each the town and the school district, if all approve. Okay.
And a good portion of this is very forward-thinking, I want to say, on behalf of your administration. I'm not wrong, because a lot of these grants do cover the ADA work and accessibility that you've already set into place in these locations.
Yeah, I thought you were going to talk about Avon. Yes,
No.
most of it is the accessibility work, especially, well, through both Crawford Park and Rytown Park. I think if we get all of these grants, we're going to be the most accessible town in the state of New York. So, may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please, Hope.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. So the next resolution is to submit the consolidated funding application for the Blindbrook Flood Mitigation Project, which I just spoke about. But under the Climate Smart Communities Act, our grant writer advises that we need a separate resolution just for that. And this is what it is. And it's all laid out before you. Basically, what I had just said is laid out in the resolution. Any questions? If not, may I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Hope, please call.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. And our last resolution tonight is adopting amendments to our procurement policy. Debbie, do you want to state what we're changing?
Yes, one of the first things I want to say is that it's recommended by the Office of the Controller that the council adopt the procurement policy on a regular basis. And so this is consistent with that priority. In addition, we picked up the fact that that there was an inconsistency in the policy. So what we're doing is standardizing the language with regard to when we have exceptions to the requirement for a request for proposals process. And specifically, when items we would be exempt from having to go to an RFP when items are on state bid, intermunicipal piggyback contracts, county or New York State Office of Government Services, or other government contracts in accordance with the rules and regulations set forth by the New York State Controller. And this language now appears both in our Section 1, which is the quick reference sheet, and also page 26, which should be section, I'm getting there. Section 7, pardon me. No, 6, pardon me. Section 6, request for proposals. So in addition to that section, it ends with when we have exceptions. And this new language is added. It was there before, but this is much more expansive now.
It's in red.
That way you know it's a change.
Yes, for those of us who find it difficult to read through everything.
And I just want to say I appreciate the quick turnaround from this morning. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone, for making
That's
those
what good
changes.
government does.
Thank you. If there are no questions, I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Axelrod,
Yes.
Councilperson Jaffe,
Yes.
Councilperson Jackson,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Okay, that finishes the resolution section. Thank you, everybody. I think that may have been the most efficient resolution section we've ever had. Crawford Park Activity Report. Do you want to say anything, Camille?
Good evening, everyone. And we are. So, it's always nice to present good news. And just wanted to give you an update on the activity that we've had here at Crawford. We now have over 200 inquiries. We have 210 to be exact, and that's up 40 inquiries just since our last meeting. So they're coming in fast and furiously. We have 25 proposals out there that we're hoping will all book. We have booked a total of 131 events for the year. There are 70 that are active, meaning that they will be executed in the next couple of months, and we've already executed 61 events. And while we have 131, that's actually contracts, we are experiencing 340 event days. So the background behind that is that a lot of our contracts have multiple days, like the sports teams, the camps, et cetera. Which brings us to revenue. We've received almost 116,000 to date. The revenue pending is almost 106. So if we stay on this course, we'll be probably 250,000 by the end of the year. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's unbelievable.
It really is. I mean, we didn't really have any revenue expectations. So we're gonna have to beat it next year, I guess, right? But for now, we're really, really pleased. And the community response has been very, very positive. As far as who is using Crawford, we are at 63% Town of Rye residents, 19% non-resident, 9% municipal, and nonprofit. The bulk, of course, of the revenue coming from the Town of Rye residents. As far as what areas they are requesting, I was very surprised to see that it's actually an even split in terms of our bookings so far, that it's 50% of the bookings for each of our 2 main locations. The revenue, however, is not quite as balanced. 32% of the revenue is from the mansion and 68% from the pavilion and sports fields. And I think, again, that's mainly because we have so many contract events, multiple event contracts. Any questions?
Not a question, but a statement. I think it's unbelievable. Although, can we get a, what was the last full year that the mansion and grounds were used? Was it 2018? Because we went into construction, right? So what kind of revenue did we have in 2018? I'm curious.
Well, my brain doesn't carry that data. Maybe Dave's does.
No,
Dave, I knew the question. I didn't know it was grade team, so I came back to 19. I don't want to be.
well, 19 was under construction and 20 was COVID.
Yeah, 19 is easy, that's 0, I can do that.
Right. I feel like it's comparing apples to oranges, because the state of
We
the mansion in 2018
actually cleared 20,000 in revenue last year
so much
despite
less attractive.
despite COVID.
That's really impressive, and I'm happy to see the high usage by our town residents and local municipalities and local
Yeah.
organizations.
Yeah.
I think that's extremely important.
Yeah.
I think that this is an unbelievable report. Camille, you have done a fantastic job, thank you. And Vic is our Director of Grounds, unbelievable. Plus all the other things that you do, which we kind of hint at, your recommendations, et cetera. And I think you two are a great team, and of course, all the others that work with you, all the rest of the staff that does such a remarkable job. Thank you all. I think this is a brilliant report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm hoping maybe for next month, maybe I'll have some photos to share with you, just to give you an idea of what the scope of the type of events we're having. I mean, we have everything from family picnics with 10 people to tents that are 5,000 square feet. So next month, I'll share some of those.
And we have a
events
new
with you.
facility.
Yes, we do. Rick, you want to talk about our new house?
Do you have a picture of it?
Just
Just look outside, literally just, it's hard to
Well,
miss.
if he puts a picture up, then everybody can see it.
I have a picture
That's
on my
okay.
phone. Today, we received it last Friday, working with Rybrook's Department of Public Works, who I give a ton of credit to. They showed up, there had to be 10 of them. Working with our 4 guys, within 2 hours, they had our 40 by 40 tent put up, staked. Did everything the right way. I contacted 811, see if there was electric or anything running through the area. Checked with our plumber about water, checked with our sprinkler guy. I was out here Sunday with him drawing circles with paint on the grass so we didn't puncture a sprinkler line. And it's standing out there and it can withstand up to 40-mile-an-hour winds. So hopefully it'll stay through the season, and knock on wood, we won't have a hurricane. Also, one other thing, take a look at the flagpole. There's 3 flags on there now. Tree City, USA.
Thank you. Great. That was a great report.
I have one thing to add. We were notified today that we are receiving a $15,000 grant from NEPA, which was earned by our grid rewards work, and the idea is to underwrite the cost of a Butler building for our electric landscaping equipment.
Fantastic, thank you. Very good. Well done, everybody. Let's skip to the bottom. Town clerk's report. You can't beat that, right, Hope?
Nope, not at all.
So, Hope's report is
Lot of-
submitted. Do you have anything else to
A lot
add?
of people coming for marriage licenses,
I love that. I love
They
seeing
have,
the rate raise.
hold over their ceremonies from COVID, so,
Good, that's good news.
happy times.
Happy times.
It's actually meeting to meeting. One of the things I've taken time to look at is from the beginning to now, how that rate has gone up and up and up, and balancing against, unfortunately, the other rate underneath it, which is stabilizing. So it's been very happy to look at your report and know that we're in better times.
Thank you.
Nick, what do you have for us?
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the Town Council. This time of year, we concentrate on the villages. We have just approved their 2020 final payments to make their levies whole. Rybrook's total was $185,988. Portchester was $499,248. This is part of the town's job, that we make their levies whole so that they can supply the services to their taxpayers. So 2020 is all set. 2021 now, we have just sent out notices. 447 from the village of Portchester and 128 from the village of Rybrook, who have not paid their first installments of the village taxes. So folks, you see, the villages need the money, the town backs them up, but it's you that puts the money in the bank. So please, let's get your taxes up to date and paid in full. Everybody is happy. Any questions for me?
Nick, thank you very much. No questions for me.
Okay. Ladies, nothing? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
And Davy, finance. I know what I want to hear, Davy.
Beck left. I was going to thank Beck for the receivables, but he has nothing to do with that. The receivables as of June 30th, that's a benchmark because that's when the village was made whole. So that's when the town has all receivables they've either made whole or about to make whole. So everything's been identified, the school districts, the county, and also the villages. As of June 30th, our receivables are the lowest in about 6 years overall. That's due to the work of the supervisor, the town attorney, the tax receiver, and collecting liens and in-rem properties as well. So that continues to be collected, and the town has already made whole for those taxes to the other municipalities. So it's really the town's cash flow and money that they're getting paid back. So that's why that's important. As of July 31st, there's another class, I refer to them as the class of 21, is the new in-rem properties become eligible. It's lower than it was last year. And also, in August is when the tax receiver files the liens for the prior year's taxes. So it's a moving ball, but we're staying on top of it, and we're doing such a great job on the older taxes that we're in very good shape. And we already have the make-whole money for the county in October, and that's always a worry, is if there's major outstanding taxes, that if we don't have enough, we still have to make it whole, and it's about $13 million. The town may have to borrow funds and then pay interest on it, but we already know already in July, which makes me happy, that we're in good shape, so.
Makes us all happy.
Right.
Because budget season is coming and we have to, you know, it all affects what the tax rate is gonna be for our taxpayers.
And just one other note, when Camille talking about revenue for Crawford Park, that's going to exceed budget. The mortgage tax for the first half of the year was substantially higher than we've budgeted for, so if it comes in at a similar number for the second half, will exceed budget. Interest and penalties for the year on outstanding taxes is projected to be higher than budget. So right now, every area of the budget line looks that we're either gonna meet or exceed the budget in revenue, which is always a good thing.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing. And just one more comment. You mentioned the town attorney and myself. We work very closely to try to keep on top of the in-rems, the properties that have already been subject to court proceedings for lack of payment of taxes. We, at the present time, with all the proceedings that we've brought, we only have, we will have at the end of the month, based on the expected payments that we're gonna have, we're only gonna have about 4 properties for which we have commenced in rem proceedings still in court. So everything else has already been paid, or they've been sold to foreclosure. And the town attorney is getting ready, as Davey mentioned, to bring the next class into line right after July 31st. Title reports have already been issued, but we have fewer. We only have, I think, 14, correct? About 14 properties that will fall in that class, and half of them are owned by one person. So Jeff will keep on top of that, and we'll move forward. So, Davey, thank you very much.
Okay.
Dave, I just wanted to
Go
follow
ahead,
up.
Dave.
I'm sorry, one question. I know I had mentioned to you my interest in seeing the debt service and the prospectus. I just wanted to follow up with that.
Yeah, the debt service for the town is 2 pieces. One is that the town's debt service, which is outstanding for the borrowings we did for the renovations to Crawford, and other bridge and the things like that for the band, that's outstanding. The other piece is the Right Town Park improvements. So that piece we're getting together in terms of what, because we've received a lot of reimbursements from FEMA and grants, so we're trying to determine that the balance for that and what other additional, because for Right Town Park, the town of Rye has to pony up 60% of that. So we'll be providing you an update for that once I work with Debbie for
Great.
Right Town Park.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's also the outstanding matter of the Hillside Avenue Bridge financing. How
Yes.
much? And that's still an ongoing conversation.
Okay, that's still up in the air.
It is. Well, we have Department of Transportation funds, but the budget, the budget for the bridge replacement is higher than that. We had an additional commitment of nearly $1 million from the Department of Transportation, and that pocket of funds is unclear.
Yes.
And we're working through that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, council members, you know, the discussion that we were just having, if you are curious as to details, if you go on the in-rem, Town of Rye in-rem receivables chart, the in-rem receivables, you'll see by year which properties are at issue. And it's actually fairly easy to follow. And Davey has listed, I'm not quite sure why he does it, but it's handy to have, which properties have actually paid their taxes and are no longer on the bad list. Okay? All right? Comments? We're almost ready to adjourn, folks.
Was there an assessor's report today?
I believe so. Did we have one? Did I see? Oh, you know something, because it says assessor, and there's no blue marks for me to look at stuff. Just kind of slipped in there.
Okay, well, good
No
evening.
hyperlink.
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to say it's really good to be back here in person. I apologize for missing last month's meeting, but it was grievance day, so I was busy with the Board of Assessment review and those hearings. I'd like to echo Camille's good news in that our total number of grievances was approximately 440, 210 of which were residential and 230 commercial. The overall number of filings was greatly reduced from last year, when after the reval, we had approximately 900 grievances total. So the Board of Assessment Review is in the process of reviewing and deliberating on those grievances, and their determination will be sent out around September 15th, when the final assessment roll comes out. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you want to make any further comment, not necessarily about that, but about the tax cert process and where we are with that and what we're doing, which is a separate issue than the NREMS?
Well, the town is meeting quarterly with the stakeholders that have an interest in our tax cert cases. Those include the villages and the school districts. So we've just recently had a quarterly meeting last week, or was it Monday? I can't remember. No, it was last week. We're staying on top of the tax cert cases and trying to settle as many as we can, but some cases are intractable, and we'll just go to trial on them. We're seeing perhaps a little less, a little fewer number of tax cert cases filed, although we are starting to notice that there's a few cases that are popping up that have to do with a little bump in their assessment based on reval. So we're trying to focus on those cases with bigger properties that their assessment has gone up maybe more than 20 or even 25%. And those cases are going to invariably spark another tax cert case. So we're going to take a closer look at those and try to nip them in the bud. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Any questions, any comments from members of the council before we adjourn? Vic, please.
Just read one of many emails we get from patrons that have
Sure.
held events here. Dear Mr. Federico, we recently had an engagement party for our daughter Josephine at the Crawford Pavilion on Saturday, July 17th. Please let me express my deepest appreciation for all the assistance that you and your team kindly provided. It greatly reduced our, mostly mine, stress with all the preparation for the celebration. Our party would not be possible without your calm assurance that everything would be all right, without the kindness of Camille, and the incredible professionalism and attention to detail of Candy. Without the quick help from Jack, who's working tonight, he's the young man that's working tonight, and the help of the sweet lady, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. Yeah, it was Elizabeth, who helped us after the party along with Candy and Jack. You are a great team. We can't thank you enough for helping us survive the party with as little worry as possible. We very much enjoyed our time at beautiful Crawford Park, and our special day was immensely memorable. Tatiana, Yola Vista.
Thank you.
One
That's
of
a
many.
beautiful letter. Are you giving those to Debbie or Hope? They should be part of our record in the town. Okay, great. Anybody else?
Lindsay had a question.
Oh, no, I just had a question about the.
Another one?
Yeah, no, a lot of questions. Would you like me to ask all of them? Because I got like, how many days
Take
we
your
have?
papers away.
No, I have important notes on these. When you talk about the tax certs and those properties that value has gone up between 20 and 25%, maybe Denise can answer that. Do we have an idea of roughly how many properties total? Is it like a 10% figure, 5% figure?
I'd have to go back to the Tyler report and pull the actual numbers from there.
Yeah, no, I would just be interested in knowing and, how that could impact cases
Well,
moving forward.
We keep a pretty detailed spreadsheet, which everyone has access to.
Yes.
You, of course, do. And we've noticed, we've gone through all the properties, and we've noticed at least 10 to 15 major properties in the town
Mhm.
have seen their assessment dramatically increase. And by dramatically, I mean that,
Yeah.
10, 15, 20%. And then, so that, that sets off.
And those
That's
are,
a flag for us to,
Yeah.
to pay attention to, that, because if we can resolve it, after 1 year, that's better than letting it,
Linger.
letting it build up. So we'll try, but sometimes we just can't, because the other side, the petitioner's not really ready to talk about it.
And
And they're paying their taxes. It's a very interesting situation, because that property owner, they have to pay those taxes.
Yeah.
But they're grieving them.
yeah, we would
So-
be on the hook for whatever.
Yeah, what we want to avoid is large paybacks. So what I've done is instruct the attorneys to look at those with the receiver, the ones that have jumped a substantial number, pardon me, not the receiver, the assessor, sorry, Denise, to look at those that have jumped a substantial amount and to try to figure out exactly why they did. The fact that there's been a 15 or 20 or 25% increase in the assessment doesn't mean that it's wrong.
No.
That may be very well warranted, and it should be increased by that amount. But I think, that would prompt a taxpayer to file a tax cert and would cause us to look at it and find out if the increase is justified. And the way we're approaching it is, and I say this every time we talk about assessments and talk to taxpayers and about taxpayers, our purpose is not to raise assessments. Our purpose is to make fair assessments and accurate assessments for everybody, so that everybody's assessment is correct, so that everybody's paying their correct taxes. If an increase is warranted and justified, then we'll defend it in court. If, on the other hand, for some reason, the increase was not warranted, or in a future year, a property needs to be decreased, then the assessor will decrease it, as she has done. I mean, I looked at the numbers on Arrowwood, and I saw, that was substantially decreased, and rightly so. We're not trying to make the figures higher without cause. But, there's a certain amount of science to it, there's a certain amount of art to it, and the attorneys are working hard with the petitioners to come to a resolution that's satisfactory for both the town and the petitioner. Anybody else?
I haven't,
Jill, Pam?
I have
Oh,
another, no,
you-
I'm just kidding.
You have another one?
No, I'm all done with questions today.
We're gonna keep the camera on after the meeting's over. You can talk into it all you want.
Tomorrow's a different story, I may have questions.
Jill, Pam, anything? No? Thank you, everybody. I just want to say it's nice to be live. There's a lot of advantages to Zooms, but it's great to have everybody here. And what we're going to be doing, by the way, is trying to work out technologically so that if people must be absent from a meeting, they can join the meeting legally via Zoom, and if it's a council person, to vote via Zoom. I suppose members of the staff, if they're not needed immediately, could also join by Zoom. We're going to work all of that out. I think it's an amazing technological tool, but nothing is a substitute for in-person meetings. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you very much.